Hi guys, welcome to Shorts for Some Sarcasm. I'm Caroline and I'm going to tell you all about the books I read in January. I'm going to go through these alphabetically by author last name. So this is a new thing I'm starting this year. I used to do it alphabetically by title, but it did mean that some books, if I read 2 books or more by the same author, would be separated and it would annoy me, and then I would have to either separate the books, which I didn't like, or put them out of alphabetical order, which I also didn't like. So author last name it is. So starting out with a graphic novel, this is Deafo by C.C. Bell, and I thought this one was okay. It's a autobiographical graphic novel about the author's experience growing up in a hearing school while being deaf, and parts of it are like excellent when she explains like how hearing aids don't just like fix deafness or hearing loss, which I can relate to. Like, yeah, it makes everything louder, but if you mumble, it just sounds like you're mumbling in all caps, and it does not help at all. So, and then other parts of it I thought were like kind of cringe. Like there was a lot of overcoming disability inspirational crap that I think does not help anyone. So this was like a solid 3 stars. Like it was good. It was okay. If you're not hard of hearing or deaf, then I would encourage you to read this or something like it so you can maybe have a bit more empathy and understanding when you talk to your hard of hearing or deaf friends or family or coworkers. Next, I read Cricket House by Agatha Christie, and I have seen the movie of this, and I like the movie, even though the movie is kind of bad. So I thought I would read the book. The book is good, so read the book, don't watch the movie. It has beautiful costumes, but it's not great. So this is about this guy, Charles. He is in love with this girl named Sophia. Sophia's grandfather, who is Greek, which is important to the story, is super rich, but also died mysteriously. And yeah, he's old, but something's fishy. And so knowing that Charles is smart and has connections with Scotland Yard, she's like, can you take a look? I think someone may have murdered my grandfather. And he was like, okay, I guess. So he goes to this big house and talks to everyone in the family. They all seem shady, like everyone has a motive. It's a classic Christie closed door mystery. And then I found out the truth, and the truth is shocking to all. And then I read Murder on the Orient Express, also by Agatha Christie, her most famous book. I rated it 5 stars because the reputation is deserved. I've seen, various adaptations of it, so I did know who did it. Like I know the twist, and I think most people do, but it's still worth a read even if you know. Like it's so cleverly written. I really loved it. And then I read Old Possum's Book of Practical Cats by T.S. Eliot. This is a poem, and this version is illustrated by Edward Gorey, which is just so great. This is me, but I need a cat. I need one. And the poem is hilarious. The illustrations are great. Like I really love this, and I will definitely reread it again in the future. I love it. Then I read Grendel by John C. Gardner. This is about the monster from the epic poem Beowulf. I have literally already forgotten everything about it. I didn't enjoy it that much. I read it in a day because it's not that long. I rated it 2 stars because I was like, it's and I don't want to read it again. So, but now that I know my friend Andrea read it and rated it 5 stars, maybe I should read it again, but not anytime soon. It's on my Kindle. It'll stay there forever. So I will have the opportunity to reread it. But again, like I thought it was pretty forgettable, as I had forgotten literally everything about it. Then I read The House in the Cerulean Sea by T.J. Klune. This is a story about Linus Baker, who is a bureaucrat who works for the department in charge of magical youth, or DICOMI, and he is sent to investigate an orphanage on a remote island that has some weird magical kids on it. And the guy in charge is also kind of weird. So Linus gets pushed out of his comfort zone a little bit, and there's a lot of like growth that happens, and he bonds with the kids, and it's real cute and delightful. And this book does talk about like discrimination, because the locals on this island, or near this island, don't really like that there's weird magical kids around, and are kind of mean to them. And it's about like confronting injustice at home. And it's a really cute story. I rated it 5 stars. Then I read The 5th Season by N.K. Jemisin. This is great. It's a sci-fi book set in a world where the planet has occasional tantrums and causes a bunch of really terrible natural disasters. So we follow a few characters that are origins, or they have like these, I guess, genetic ability to, I want to say commune with nature, and they have some power over it, and they can sense like coming earthquakes, etc. So society in general is pretty suspicious of them in general, because they think that it's these people that are causing all the natural disasters, which is not the case. But they're all on a journey to, one is journeying to find her daughter, and it all comes together at the end in a pretty mind-blowing way. It's amazing, and I can't wait to read the rest of this series. Then I read These Violent Delights by Micah Nemerever. This is not These Violent Delights by Chloe Gong. This is a different book, but the same name, even though both of them came out in 2020. Why? Anyway, it was a solid dark academia book. I didn't love it, but it was very cleverly written. I thought that a lot of it was pretty predictable, but it's pretty par for the course for a dark academia novel. We know in the beginning of this book that the 2 main characters, who have this sort of like very toxic codependent friendship, murder someone. And then we go back in time to the beginning, where they meet in college and become friends, and sort of like begin to start their descent into murderdom. So I mean, the 2 characters are the worst in mostly a compelling way, sometimes in a meh way. And so there were parts of it when I was really, really invested, and there were parts of it where I was like, okay, murder someone then, I guess. So yeah, it was good. I think if you like dark academia, you will also like this book. Then I read The Dust Never Settles by Karina Licorice Quinn. This is a book set in Peru, and this woman, Anais, is newly pregnant. She lives in the UK, but she goes back to her ancestral home in Lima, or rather above Lima, because it's on a cliff. And it's an intergenerational story where we follow Anais and like her confronting her past, her family, her upbringing, etc. And we also take a look at the previous generations of this family and how they're kind of cursed living in this yellow house on the mountain. And it's a really rich story with a lot of depth. There are a lot of characters with a lot of interesting motivations. So I think if you like that kind of story, you will also like this book. It took me a very long time to read. I just don't think I was in like the right headspace initially when I went into it. So it took me a little while. I was supposed to read it, I think, in October or November, maybe even September of last year, and I didn't end up finishing it, but I did end up finishing it this year in January, so that's good. It was a NetGalley e-arc, so I have reviewed this on my website if you want to go look at it. Then I read Tunnel of Bones by Victoria Schwab. This is the second book in the Cassidy Blake trilogy. I read the first book in November, maybe it was December, sometime last year. Really liked it. They're middle grade, they're pretty short. This follows Cassidy Blake and her ghost best friend Jacob. And Cassidy can see ghosts because she had a near-death experience, and her parents are ghost hunters, but they can't see ghosts and don't really believe her when she's like, yeah, my best friend Jacob is a ghost. And they're like, sure, a ghost. So the parents are off around the world shooting a ghost hunting TV show. Cassidy tags along and encounters scary ghosts, wakes up demons, and needs to fix it with Jacob's help and then also a few other people. So the first book is set in Edinburgh and the second book is set in Paris, and I think the last book, which I hope to read soon but haven't read yet, is set in New Orleans. And last on this list, because it comes last alphabetically, but interestingly, this was the first book I read in 2022, and that is When the Tiger Came Down from the Mountain by Deafo. And this is the second in a series that was started by the Empress of Salt and Fortune, which I read when it came out in 2020. I have the Kindle version, and then it was also the last book I read in 2021 because I wanted to reread it because it was so wonderful. And I will definitely be reading When the Tiger Came Down from the Mountain again as well. I listened to the audiobook. I also have it on Kindle for when I reread it, and it was great. Deafo is a wonderful writer. She has a real talent for storytelling, and it feels very much like a fairy tale. They're novellas, so they're very easy to read. You can knock them out in a day. If you want to read something slightly fantastical, slightly historical, with really like great characters with a lot of depth and ruthlessness and interesting politics, then do read these. They are great. So that concludes my January wrap up. I read 11 books, so it's time for stats. So I read a total of 3,232 pages, an average rating of 78.18. So a pretty good reading month, I think. I was feeling a little bit slumpy in the middle of January, but I worked through it with some Agatha Christie, which is my go-to when I'm feeling slumpy, and I think now I'm back on a reading roll, and so I'm hoping to take that energy into February. So stay tuned for more reading updates. Thank you so much for watching. Please like and subscribe, and I will see you in my next video. Bye guys.